good. That's recording. As it gets to you. There it is, the next click on my podcast. A bit of new to old this time. A lot of the guys I've started talking with are older friends. I now have Paul Barker, a newer friend. Welcome to the podcast, Paul Barker, Rubber Side Down.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Zoe.
Got this music, makes it sound impressive. Well, I've got it. I may as well use it. That's how I figure it. All right. You might have seen or heard these podcasts before. It starts with a very simple question. If you could be an animal, what animal would you be and why?
Oh, I'd be something that flies, I reckon, for that little bit of freedom. Yeah, it'd be maybe an eagle, I think, would be my choice.
I reckon it's the most popular.
Is it?
Answer so far.
Right,
so
okay.
far. So,
yeah,
excellent.
That freedom, I think, would be pretty cool.
All right. Tell us a little bit about you growing up. Where did you grow up? Tell us you're in primary school. Start from your earliest of memories. Mum, dad, family. Where did you grow up?
Wow, you're
what
really
was life
taking me
about?
back.
Yeah, start there.
Yeah, so I grew up in the UK, obviously, in a place called Luton, which is about 30 miles north of London. Probably a little bit of the rougher part of the UK. Schooling for me wasn't great memories if I think back to those days at sort of primary into junior and senior school. I think mum and dad were very sort of, I'd say, middle class, sort of in that world, and they really sort of lived that way. We didn't particularly need for anything, but at the same time, we weren't sort of showered in all of the things that like our kids get today in today's world. So it's that's where I grew up, and is good and tough part of my life at the same time.
And what was your family? Brothers, sisters, mum, dad?
Yeah, I got a brother and a sister. Brother, he's a little bit younger than me. He was born in 81. My sister's just a couple of years younger than me. So I was the eldest of the three. My sister and then my brother. So I was born in 74. So we're going back a long way now.
And are they, where is everyone located now?
All of my immediate family, they're here in South Australia now.
Okay.
Yeah. So my folks moved out to Australia, I want to say early 90s, without putting a year on it. And I stayed back for a couple of years. And then my dad said, look, this is a really cool place. You might want to give it a go. So I came out, and the rest is history. I haven't been back.
How old were you when you came
I reckon it was about 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just finished school.
Yeah, just finished school. I was working in a motor shop in the UK, a spare parts place where basically garages would call up and say, hey, we need an exhaust for a 1986 Astra. Can you get one delivered to us? So I was the guy in the sort of back room, sort of taking those orders and getting drivers out to deliver them. But it's a far cry from where I find myself today. So.
Stay in your schooling years. Like, what did you like about? So all of your schooling years was in England.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What's that like? I'm an Australian. How does that vary to your kids' schooling?
Look, I just found I found schooling, the academic side of it, relatively easy. It wasn't a difficult thing for me to sort of get good grades. I found the social dynamic of schooling really difficult. And yeah, it was I sort of went through, like many people, I had some tough stories of bullying and all that sort of stuff, and sort of just trying to find your own way and not get your head knocked off at school type thing. So for me, it wasn't the most memorable of things to do or to be at. But I sort of rode through that. I want to say it'd be equivalent to year 7 to 10 in Australia. That was the rough period. But then as I came out that back end before I went and did my A-levels, it kind of settled down a little bit. It was a little bit easier.
What's a rough period I mean, I play soccer,
I'll
football.
take these off because I'm fogging up.
Yeah. What was your sport in school? What was your sport or your academics? What were you a bit of both or?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed sport. I was naturally a fast runner. So I really enjoyed rugby back at school. Was probably turned off a little bit about joining a rugby club because I didn't want to go through what the initiation process was back in those days. I remember one kid got tied to a roundabout and spray painted with his pants down, and that didn't appeal. So that stopped me sort of going anywhere further with rugby. But I found myself pretty good a runner. I ended up competing at county level, sort of mid to long distance. It was relatively good. I ended up running for the Vauxhall Athletics Club at one point in time. Just carried through with that. And then I sort of came to Australia and I found that going to the gym and those sorts of things were probably more of a focus for me.
Yeah, nice. And so did you complete school? Did you get all the way to the end of schooling?
Yeah, went all the way through school. When I came to Australia, I needed to go back and do year 12 because my certification at the time in the UK didn't give me the ability to go to university here in Australia because I had intentions of going to university when I was in Melbourne. I did year 12 and then I actually got a job with a company called EDS. And it was a trainee mainframe operator position, which meant that I didn't go to uni at that point in time. So I did that.
Mainframe computers you're talking about?
Yes, this is for the uninitiated.
Yes.
This is the sort of the green screen. So you see those big computer rooms with massive computers in them. That was what I was doing as a trainee. And I seemed to do okay at it. And that was really the start of my corporate career. And I didn't end up going back and doing university till about 2008, I think it was.
So you'd fallen into a career as fairly soon after you moved to Australia?
Yeah, so I did year 12, and then I reckon after year 12, it was about 6 months, I got a role.
Here in Adelaide or you said in Melbourne?
Melbourne.
Yep.
So I got this role with EDS, and they told me at the time when if I was going to accept the role, that they'd just won a contract with the South Australian government to deliver their whole of government ICT services. And so they said, if you accept the role, you'll need to move to South Australia. And that was all fully funded by EDS at the time, so I wasn't out of pocket or anything. So I took that, and shortly after I was living in South Australia, starting a new career in a new place in Australia.
Sounds like some pretty smart moves for like a 20-something-year-old. You know, you had your head screwed on early.
Look, there's plenty of times when sort of at that back end of my time in the UK in particular, where I probably wasn't making good decisions, and sort of if I think back to my younger self, there's some things I'd have definitely done differently. But I think with how things have played out and sort of where I find myself now in particular, I think there's a bit of luck, and I think I've created a bit of luck and a bit of hard work, and you can sort of make something out of it. So
you've come to Adelaide at 20-ish.
I want to say 96, I think it was in
Okay.
Adelaide. Yeah.
And was mountain biking your sport at that point?
No, it wasn't. And I'd only done a bit of riding in the UK, commuting riding. So it wasn't until 2001. So I got introduced to a group of friends locally. Many of them, the sort of the Mark and Julie Harrises of the world, the Ollie Kleins, Jimmy Nola, those guys, Jace Morrison.
Shout out to all of you people.
Yeah. So through my ex-wife, Ali, I got introduced to these guys, and they were all, like, as you would know, they were all sort of at the time racing elite downhill, and I got introduced to this group of riders. So for me, it was a really tough initiation, great bunch of guys and girls, but similarly trying to keep up with them out on the trails, which is a nightmare. So it was a steep learning curve, but you're riding with good people, so it meant that I could get my skills up pretty quick as well.
It's like 20 plus years ago. Yes.
Yeah, because I was racing inside line back then, so which, as you know, was an
What's your
interesting.
early memories of, what was your perspective of that coming into it from a, out-of-towner and an overseaser?
Oh, look, I think the whole vibe was really cool. The community, the mountain bike community then and the mountain bike community now is still a really cool vibe, and something which is part of why we want to be a part of that still. In reality, did I enjoy racing? Not particularly. I was doing it because all my mates were doing it. I much more enjoyed going out and riding with mates on the weekend without the pressure of trying to throw it down a track and trying to work out whether I can hit that drop or hit those doubles or whatever it is. So, yeah, I prefer the relaxed style of riding.
And you're more cross-country? Is that where you wanted to push yourself, or...?
Not at the time. No. I think then I was just riding with mates and doing what mates were doing, and sort of like we'd go to the nationals and all that sort of thing. So there's a real mateship around what we were doing. But then I think we had kids back then, and obviously when you have kids, things change. So I dropped out of riding bikes for a while. And I think it was about 2014 I got back into doing a bit of XC. And found that, you know what, I wasn't bad at it if I put a bit of effort in on my fitness side of things. And so I really progressed in doing the XC side. I did some MTB marathons, ended up doing an Everest on a mountain bike on the dirt, and really enjoyed all of that side of it. And these days I just ride for fun. But yeah, it was a good period, sort of that 2014 to 2018, 19, I reckon.
What age are you? Do the maths for me. How
I
old
am
are you?
50 now.
No, in that period when that was a big focus. How old are you at that stage? This is before kids, or
no? This is after kids. So, 20. I had Charlie was 2007. Austin was 2009. Got back into riding around 2014. And then was sort of 2014 to 2019 was semi-serious about my fitness, and at one point sort of getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going for rides most days of the week, trying to get Ks in and all the rest of it. So,
before your day job?
Before my day job.
And what is your day job?
So back then I was working for a company called HP, so you think HP printers and computers. And that was in delivering ICT services to companies like ATO, Combank, those sorts of organisations. But these days I work for KPMG, so it's a consulting role. Similar but different. So I'm less about managed service delivery and more about working out complex solutions for clients, and then how do we deliver them from a technical perspective.
That makes my head spin. It sounds like, wow, it sounds like you're a smart guy. You enjoy that challenge. That's you like testing your brain to solve those problems.
It's
is that how you look at everything?
I found with ICT, with my career overall, I fell into a space that I seem to be relatively good at. So over time, and I think I do.
Can you pinpoint that a little bit more? What's a bit of your day to day? What problem do you solve for?
I think it's actually a big part of my leadership. I think is a big part of why I'm successful and what I do today. Sort of the ability to lead teams through complex programs of work and actually stay calm and focus on the goal and make sure you're sequencing everything so it can be delivered successfully. I think there is a bit of skill, but I think there's a bit of an art to that as well in terms of your leadership capability. So I think over time, that coupled with work ethic, it's allowed me to be pretty successful in that space.
And that's 2 decades long. You've learnt these skills and you've been pretty similar in the whole workflow? Yeah,
so obviously 96 I started out as that trainee mainframe operator, and then over time, so now I'm a principal director at KPMG. There's not much more beyond that in terms of where I can go. And as I've discussed with Monica, sort of KPMG is my final resting space from a corporate perspective. We've obviously been working on Project Rubberside Down. The trajectory for me is to finish in corporate and then fold into the business full time.
That's got to be a a big. I mean, I've known you for quite a few years. Our lads play soccer together.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, we've met through a few years ago and watched the stuff that you're doing. It's pretty cool to see, but at the same time, it's pretty scary to give up potentially safety and security in corporate work versus taking a risk on something that you've chosen to do. And what's that thing? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think when we started out, Rubber Side Down, if you would have asked me that question when we started out in 2000 and, help me out, 24, yeah. 21, sorry, brain fry. So in 2021 when we started Rubber Side Down, if you'd have asked me that question, I would have probably been a bit anxious in terms of the future and what that holds. I think over the last 4.5 years and where we're at, like I've got no doubt in my mind now that this will work.
What was the idea at the start? How did you wake up one morning and go, bing, what happened?
You know what, Zolly, I've always, and Monica, my partner, she's been entrepreneurial throughout her life. I've always had this sort of something inside me that I want to run my own company, my own business. And Mon and I were out at Melrose, which for the uninitiated is a great mountain bike spot here in South Australia. And we were having a conversation. And I said, "Look, I'd love to start a men's gym wear brand as something to get our sort of focus on." I said, the problem is I can't come up with a name for it. I said, if it was mountain biking, I said, it'd be a no-brainer. I'd just call it Rubber Side Down. Easy. So Mon suggested, well, we both love mountain biking. Maybe we should look into that a little bit. So we did. We did a bunch of research. We looked at the market. We looked at the competition. We did a research globally in terms of Rubber Side Down, whether we'd be able to trademark it and all of the sort of homework that you typically do when you start a new business. And we were pretty confident at that point that we could make something of it. We didn't know what it ultimately would be. And so we said, yeah, that's it. And we'll go all in on Rubber Side Down, which is what we did.
And that was apparel. Like your first idea was clothing of some sort, apparel of some sort.
Yeah, and so it was always about, as being riders, it was about developing product for the market, for riders, that is either better than what's already there or being able to introduce innovations to that. Funnily enough, when we started, though, we didn't have any technical gear. So I think our first setup at an event here in Adelaide, all we had was T-shirts and hoodies. So we quickly scrambled to get our first jersey out, which we were reflecting on this the other day, is a long way away from our current range of jerseys. But it was a technical product and we got it out quickly. We had a designer working with us on it. And the market responded to that. The riding community locally backed in behind it. They were buying it, particularly in the female segment, which is where we wanted to have a bit of focus as well. So now over the last 4 years, we've developed a full range of technical apparel plus what we refer to as our streetwear range. And again, the market just seems to have responded to that in a positive way.
What do you mean by explain technical? People say technical, it's tricky, it's difficult. Like, explain technical in regards to clothing and a jersey and a pair of pants. What does technical mean? Well,
if you just take a basic T-shirt, for example, a T-shirt is a cotton T-shirt. There's not a high element of technicality to that as a product, right? Most people you can either buy them from China, you can import them, you can put your logo on and away you go. What we wanted to do is actually develop technical product that when you're riding on the bike, it performed in a certain way to enhance your riding. So, for example, that first jersey we released was a very basic product. It was off-the-shelf pattern that we bought and we just had a design put on it. We were very quickly in parallel working on our own patterns, and that's been a big part of what we do, is that we try where we can not to take an off-the-rack product and just put a brand on it. So we then developed our first jersey. And the first jersey we developed, the pattern, it was good. It was moisture wicking, so when you rode on the bike, got hot and sweaty, it would actually take the moisture off you, like most jerseys do. But what we found is when we released that jersey, it was great for riders in South Australia. But when you're riding in Queensland with that particular jersey, if you're wearing a long sleeve one, they found it to be quite warm to wear. And it was actually through work that we were doing with Australian Mountain Bike at the time, where they were doing a review of the product. We got that feedback. So then we worked through, well, how can we actually improve that? And we actually replaced the entire front panel of the jersey with this lightweight Italian fabric. Airflow comes through, just transformed the feel of the jersey. So that's where the technical element comes in terms of what we're doing.
How did you find the people, or how do you know what's the right Italian fabric to use? How do you find that out?
Look, I'll say a couple of elements to that. One is certainly not me. That was more Monica was doing all of the sort of fabric research, identification, where we could get stuff. We had a designer that we were working with out of Sydney as well. She was a wealth of knowledge, and without her, it would have been a really difficult sort of journey. Just even understanding manufacturing processes, what you can ask from a manufacturer, what you can expect to see from a manufacturer, all of that life cycle she had experience in, so that made our life easy. She also had contacts in the industry in terms of where we could get certain fabrics from, and yeah, a lot of it was trial and error. We had fabrics that never saw the light of day. We had fabrics that I would wear out. Our shorts, for example, I remember wearing our shorts, and they were made as a pair of board shorts. So they were these short board shorts with this yellow drawstring on it that I was riding around for weeks and weeks and weeks to test the fabric, to how it would perform on the bike, the noise, the feel. I even came off on a roundabout and they didn't hole out, but my nicks underneath did. All of those sorts of things to actually test product and actually work out whether it work out for us.
It's a big risk, a big chance you took to go, oh, we're going to give this, because that doesn't sound cheap to do that research, to do that development. You've coming at it.
Yeah, I think, without putting numbers out there, I like to develop the shorts. I think by the time we'd done a bulk run and the whole design process, the prototyping, fabric testing, it was north of $100,000 just to be able to develop a pair of shorts.
For a technical...
Yeah, just for the shorts.
That blows my mind.
So obviously, so we've got the cargo base layer, which we went through a similar process for. That was really difficult to actually work through a process for, because the fabric on that had to be so lightweight that it would be comfortable to wear underneath a t-shirt or a jersey, but strong enough that you could hang up to a kilo of product in the back in the 3 pockets that we've designed. So that whole fabric testing, we went through a number of prototypes.
Were you aware that this is the cost that it's... Oh, I'm going to make a pair of shorts. I mean, I made some stuff. Did you have some idea that there was going to be in that area?
We thought it would be expensive. We didn't understand how expensive in reality. And I think then and now we're all in on this, right? So between us, whatever investments we had, we collapsed them into the business, and sort of that adage around, in reality, brands being successful, the overnight successes, they are really few and far between. I think you've got to be prepared in this game to go 3, 4, 5 years with really not making any money.
Yeah, that's it.
And in fact, going negative.
Yep.
Before it swings around the other way, and ultimately you got a successful, viable business. So it's, yeah.
Once the community sees that you're for real and you're not a fly-by-night as well.
Well, and that's right. And we were joking about a story the other day when we rocked up to our first, Wollonga, our first race for inside line with rubber side down. And we rocked up, and at the time I had this wagon Mercedes, like low seat car, sort of super thin tyres, licorice straps on it. And people were like, who is this? These guys rocking up, setting up a marquee. And yeah, there's a fit and a culture, right?
Yeah.
And we obviously but now when we're turning up at events, we've got the ute. It's fully branded. People know it when they see it, and they know us. And I think that's a big part of the secret of our success is I like to think we're genuine, authentic people. We're here to help the riders and build that community. And it's good. It's a good vibe. And I think we've rediscovered when we started out, we wanted to build a business and build a successful business. And I think now that purpose has changed. Our purpose is really about building the biggest global mountain bike community that we can. And that is something that's really cool to focus on as opposed to the business side of it. The business will come. Building the community will enable that to happen.
Yeah, because I saw our lads played soccer together. You'd bring the big full drive with the rubber side down, the logos and the branding. I was like, fucking brilliant. That's awesome. But now I've noticed your rubber side global, like you're going a little bit more, you're looking more international. You're not just South Australian national, you're looking bigger. You've invested a lot in this, so...
So we've globally trademarked rubber side down. So all the major countries, it's trademarked now. It's not just rubber side down, it's the imagery, everything. So that in itself was A, a massive learning in how do you actually get global trademarks in place, and B, that was another massive expense as well. But that's all about protecting the brand, protecting RP, so that
protecting your investment.
Yeah,
yes.
That's right. It's when you've invested so much money into it, you do need to be able to protect it from copycats popping up in other countries, right? So,
and how do you stay interested and keen to think there's always the next thing? Like, how do you maybe rephrase the question. How do you slow yourself down? I'm sure you've got 10 ideas. How do you pick one?
That is a challenge, right? In terms of how we do focus and spend our time. Monica, she's in the business full time now, which was part of our longer term strategy in terms of how do we stage manage this to a point where it can be sustainable long term. We had to get Monica into the business because there was just so much activity happening that without that full-time dedication, it was killing both of us in terms of the number of hours a day. My role at KPMG is not an easy role. So I'm easy spending 10 to 13 hour days in the office. So then coming home and trying to deal with rub side down initiatives and priorities is always going to be a challenge. You're getting tired towards the end of that day. Monica being in the business has really helped with that. But even now I'm thinking how we're still not getting everything done that we need to get done, even with Monica in. So and that's the step change that we've made over the last September last year. Monica folded into the business full time. But that's in itself creating more things that we need to work on, more priorities, more initiatives. We'll typically go through a planning phase on a monthly basis in terms of what are we trying to resolve or focus on. The last 6 weeks is really about finalising a new release. So we've got our tech tees coming, which has been another product that we've invested in. We've designed the pattern, we've found the fabric, we've gone through that whole life cycle. We've product tested it.
Working on there. Don't panic. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Got it? Yep. That was my good side. No, we're very semi-professional here. Keep going. Sorry.
All good. So that last 6 months 6 weeks, there's been a really strong focus getting that ready for release. We've got the bulk order in now. In parallel, we do an artist range. When we start, one of the first things we did was launch an artist range, which to do something different with the tees, the apparel, that's different just to your corporate branding. So we've been working with a guy who's come up with some fresh designs for us. So that will be releasing as well. So yeah, it's been a busy period, but that has been, to your question, that has been the focus. Because if we try and do 100 things, we do 100 things poorly. We do 2 or 3 things, we do them well, we get them done, and we can release. It's just a
And a t-shirt in itself is 6 months out from planning to having the package ready to sell to someone.
Yeah.
How long does that process take?
Well, I think that the tech teas that are coming, we've been working on that. Where are we now? April. That was late last year that we were working on that. We've got a really good manufacturer that we've been working with, so we were able to get the sizing worked out quite quickly. But again, we went through the whole process. Find the fabric, give us a sample. That sample's not good enough. What do you need to change? These are the sizing changes we need. Okay, now give us another round of sampling. Okay, that's close. Right. Okay, now we need to see it in the range. So we'll take an extra small, a medium, an extra large, a double extra large, and we'll actually get that sort of sample across the full range. Okay, now we're happy with the product. Now we can go to bulk manufacturing. What is the design that you want on it? So there's a whole process that you need to go through.
And people would have no idea about the time that you'd spend to just get that bit right.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got this opportunity, because if you're listening, people, it sounds like a fucking lot of work just to make, it's just a T-shirt. No, it's not.
No,
It's not just a
It's
top.
not. Like I said, that you can easily go and buy a T-shirt off the rack from AS Colour and slap something on it.
Which is what I've done, yes.
But that's and that's a viable way forward for many brands, depending where they're trying to
Just a
achieve.
minimal bit of fun.
But we're really trying to actually build something that is rubber side down. So we've even got the new range of hoodies that will be coming out.
Is this Australian-made stuff too? Forgive me for asking. Is this?
So we have a mix. So all of our jerseys, our Cocoa base layers, mud guards, our socks, they're all made here in Australia. But our shorts and some of the newer stuff is being made offshore.
Your technical stuff. And I can go back to that conversation. You said $100,000 to spend on a pair of shorts.
Yeah.
Step us through a little. I mean, I don't know, don't bore people too much, but I'm pretty curious. Like, how do you justify like a start and a stop point? Like when you went into it, did you have a figure in mind? It's like, okay, we're going to spend X on it, and we're willing to go this far. I'm sure at a point it started blowing out.
I don't know if this is the right or wrong answers, Ollie, but the reality is there was never a view in our mind that we're stopping. From day one, we've been all in on this. Like I said, any investment that we've had, we've folded into this. So this is make or break. We are all in on this. And like I said, early on, the anxiety, will this be successful? Won't it be successful? Sort of the highs and the lows that you get with running a business. And we still get some of those today, don't get me wrong. We're not in the world where we're sort of making a mozza here.
Which a lot of people think.
Well, that's exactly.
Once you see there's more than 5 people there, you're making money. It's like, no.
No, that's right. And I think, but what we are on, and we used last year as a bit of we slowed down deliberately last year because we're focused on playing that long game. So we recalibrated a little bit. What do we need to focus on? What do we need to do differently so that we can actually be successful over the longer term? And now this year, you're probably seeing us a lot more active on the socials. We've got new products coming out. We've taken a bit of a different approach to where those products are coming from. I think there's a little bit of, we love to support local, but when it comes to a jersey costing $10 or $15 more than a competitor, not sure that riders want to pay that, to be honest, in reality. So that does make you question your strategy and what you're doing. So if you want to be successful in the long term, you do need to focus on profitability, not just revenue.
What do your KPMG people, are they aware of what you're doing? How do they feel about it?
Yeah, so
I'm not going to get in trouble here.
No. It's like I've been very transparent with KPMG, and I think, and again, it comes a little bit down to your own work ethic, right? Like I don't shortchange KPMG at all. Like I'm like I mentioned, I'm easy smashing 10 to 13-hour days on a regular daily basis. It's pretty hard for me to disguise it from KPMG because when I'm parking the car park downstairs, you got this big branded ute down there, which everybody sees.
Yeah,
right?
I see your passion. I'm sure your eyes light up when you start talking. Work stuff. Rubber side down.
And it is like if I talk to the kids, right? It's sort of if you can find something that's your passion and chase your passion. If I had my time again, 100%, that's what I would do. But you are where you are in the world at any
Now's
point in
the time.
And for us, it was 4 years ago to actually start Rubber Side Down, and it's been a really cool journey.
And looking back at it, you go, oh yeah, it's all good, but it's a lot of tough times in there, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've got the tough times of running a business. We both had full-time corporate roles at one point. We've both had challenges on the home front with our family, with our teenagers. So all of that mix in it's been a really hard few years, but I think it feels like we're coming into a good place at the moment.
Getting there, riding that wave.
Yeah.
And you're still riding now? You're onto the bikes? Yeah, it's a big part of your life still, riding?
I joke. We said, let's create Rubber Side Down to build us the freedom to ride more and whenever we want. I've never ridden less in my since I started in 2001. We now we've converted to the dark side. We're both riding e-bikes these days.
It's not the dark side. I'm a biggest fan of the e-bike. I'll put the big music on for that one.
But I was talking to I was even talking to Marshy on the weekend at the first round of the state.
Get an e-bike, people.
It's just so much fun. It's really sort of reinvigorated my love for riding bikes, to be honest with you, because I can go riding with my mates who are still riding sort of 4 or 5 times a week and quite fit, which I'm clearly not. But equally, it feels like I can go and do a cross-country burn, or I can equally go and throw it down runs at Fox. It's just brilliant. And Bon and I can go riding together now a lot more easily than we could when we were both on sort of the analogue bikes. They're brilliant.
What is... are we getting hot in here? Shall I put the air conditioner on? Are you guys going all right? Can I? I'll put it on.
Yeah, put it on. Yeah.
It on for a little bit. Makes a little bit of noise, but we can cope. We're going all right here. Sorry, everybody. We just cooled the room down a little bit.
Yeah, it's warm.
What would we like to talk about next? Family. Spend a little bit more time on family. What's a good happy memory about family for you? If I throw that at you, it's like bang, that came out of nowhere.
Oh, look, I think good from being in my younger years, good family memories would be going on holiday down to Cornwall, Devon, when we were kids. We'd go down there with the caravan, and it's a really beautiful part of the UK for those that haven't been there. We would do that in our younger years on annual holidays, and then as things sort of got a bit older, we were going over to Mallorca and Ibiza and places like that for our family holidays, which is pretty much a common passage for anyone living in that part of the world. They're always, they're good memories back in those days.
Those couple of names that you just said there sounds a bit better than Victor Harbour and Aldinga Beach. But
no, I just it's just nice to be. I mean, it's so easy in Europe, as you're probably aware, to just jump to other countries, right? So. It just seemed to be common passage for people to be able to jump over to Mallorca for a 2-week holiday and not spend a fortune and get out of the UK and enjoy some sun. So,
since you've been back in Australia, have you been able to travel much? Do you go back home or?
No, so I haven't been home. I have done a fair bit of travel. So since being in Australia. Lived in Singapore for just over a year when I was working with HP. So that was really great because I got to explore more of Asia that I hadn't. And obviously getting to places like Whistler in Canada for snowboarding and stuff like that's always been good. Japan snowboarding. I sort of love mountain biking, but sort of if I can get a chance to get on the snowboard, that's definitely a bit of a passion.
Is that something you still do now?
Well, I haven't actually been since pre-COVID, and I've been talking to Monica about I'd really love to in the next 12 months get across to maybe Japan and just go and do some snowboarding.
A few mates do seem to be doing it, family members, and they just seem to say that's the place to be. for snow.
The snow's amazing. It's a beautiful part of the world. The Japan as a country, the people there, it's really hospitable, very polite. I don't think there's anything not to like about Japan from my experience, having been there snowboarding, but also been there for work. You'll get in a taxi and the taxi driver will have little curtains in the back seat. He'll be wearing white gloves and driving, right, and be super polite. So yeah, it's a special part of the world, Japan. I really do like it as a destination.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm coming back to your rubber side down logo. Like, is that something you came up with? Like was that you? Do you sketch and scribble and do artsy stuff, or how did you come up with the logo?
I think we recognise what we're good at and also what we're not so good at. And maybe the creative stuff is probably not what we're great at. We had a local company called Toolbox here in South Australia work with us in terms of the design. Originally, the design they came up for was quite different. It was sort of like a Z, and it was the sort of the switchbacks of a climb. But when we did the trademark search for that, a snowboarding brand, I think it was in Canada from memory, was already using something really similar. So we knew we were never going to get that approved.
So thinking that far forward.
Yeah.
Way back then.
Way back. And so then then they came up with another concept or another design, which was what we have now. And we just, we're so glad that this was sort of the universe works in strange ways. That original one we didn't go ahead with. This was a lot better. And I think when we talk to people or we go to new places, particularly when we go to races in Victoria, they look at it like we are some global brand, right? They don't have the concept for the fact that we're actually this smaller entity growing out of South Australia. But there was some meaning behind the logo. So in the sort of the two ellipses, that was supposed to be the front wheel turning. So it's almost like two wheels crossed over each other.
Okay.
And the two wheels crossed over is the X factor of extreme sports. And then the circle around the outside was global. So you had this sort of meaning in that sort of that circle globe design that was more than just a globe, effectively.
Yeah, very nice. And you're talking about setting up at events. Like, you would travel to the local state inside line mountain bike races as you got started. You'd come and set up your booth. You'd rock up. What was that like? How often would you have to be doing that? Like, you're doing your day job, you've worked all week, and then it's Saturday, Sunday, race day inside line at Fox Creek or Wollonga. You got involved with the club as sponsoring, and then you'd set up your stall. And how did that all go? What was that all about?
I think it's a really important part of being part of the community and sort of building out the community at the same time. We still so this weekend just gone, there was the first round of the state series. So it's exactly what you've described for me, not necessarily from Mom, but for me, sort of, I've done the full corporate role all week. Then on the Saturday, we're actually working through what do we need to take? Have we got stock coverage? Making sure we've got everything organised. So there's a process for a couple of hours on the Saturday just to make sure that's done. The ute's fully loaded, and then on the Sunday, we needed to be out at Fox for about 7:30. So it's about a 5:30 wake up, and then you're all day out there. You don't get home till sort of 4:30. Then you're sort of deloading. By the end of it, you're just ready just to sit on the couch and just chill out a little bit.
And you take a risk that the weather's going to be favourable.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've definitely done race events. I can think of race events where we've been standing under the marquee. In fact, we've had like lots of people standing under our marquee with hail blowing in sideways up at a place called Eagle here in Adelaide.
That's a good day.
And yeah, but I think that's part of the journey, right? I think we're not fair weather flyers. We try to get to as many events as we can. I think in the last 4 years, we've only missed about 3 of the inside line races. When we were having some of those challenges I mentioned earlier about on the family front. But other than that, we've been to pretty much every single inside line race since we started.
And you're involved again this season? You're part of it again this year round?
Yeah, we're supporting again this year, and we're also supporting the club round as well, which is the kind of the branching off for the younger, the more inexperienced riders who want to get into the sport, which is a really great vibe because you're getting these young kids out there with their parents, and being part of that is really cool.
And you've also travelled interstate with it. You've gone set up at national events as well?
Yeah, we've set up at national events. We did Crankworks in Cairns, which was amazing to be a part of. That certainly helped as well, just being part of Crankworks Cairns in terms of social media following and people sort of understanding who we are and a little bit about what we're about. Last year we didn't do anything interstate. Like I said, we hit the slowdown while we worked out what we're trying to do. And this year we'll get back out and do some of the interstate stuff.
And you still love doing it? Like, does it feel like work, or KPMG feels like work?
Oh, look, KPMG feels like work, right? It's absolutely like the mountain biking stuff is my passion. And I was talking to the team because obviously I was walking out the door at 5:30, which is somewhat uncommon for me at the moment. And they were sort of joking around, "Oh, you're leaving at 5:30?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm off to do a podcast interview." And sort of they can see that's my passion. And like I said, I haven't hidden it from anybody in terms of what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. And I sort of, at the same time, I give everything I can while I'm there delivering that. And then every minute or second that is not KPMG is invested into Rubberside Down and the family.
So there's not much time left. Like how many hours do you sleep a night?
Not enough.
What's a typical day for Paul Barker? Like, walk us through. When do you wake up to when you go to bed?
So on average, I'm getting up probably about 4:45, 5 o'clock. We'll go and have a gym session early. I'm usually then in the office by about 7:30 at KPMG, depending on the day. My average day will be from 7:30 to 6, I reckon, 6:30. Some days it will be blow out to 8 o'clock, depending on there might be a critical deadline or a project that needs particular focus. And then I will come home. Fortunately for me, with now Mon being at home full time, she'll normally have some food organised. We'll smash that, and depending on what needs to be done, we'll jump back on the laptops and work on Rubberside Down, whatever it is at the moment, whether it's mail out EDMs, social media, working on whether it's getting manufacturers sorted out, responding to emails, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, there's always something to be done.
I've been seeing there's a bit of social media stuff that's popped up, and you've been out recording. Like, you're quite active in that. Like, how are you approaching that?
Yeah,
Tell us a bit more about that.
So we really, and again, sort of doing research and trying to understand how to build a brand, how to build a community. I think being in amongst it, but B, giving riders the opportunity to talk to us and for them to be featured on our social media as well. So a lot of these young brand ambassadors, they'll volunteer their time to come out for a filming session. We might spend 2-3 hours out there with Jude, our media guy. He'll record it all, we'll do some interviews, and then he'll cut it up and post it. So there's reels going out pretty much every day of the week now. And then there's opportunities like this, right? I think it's a great opportunity to A, have a great conversation with you, but B, can we support each other through the social media channels with this type of recording?
Share the love around.
Yeah.
You know, Adelaide's been such an awesome spot for, you know, looking back at it now, it's very fond memories of, I've been in the scene for a long time.
Yeah.
And to see people so active and to see, you know, potential of where it can be headed, especially with brands like this, you know, competitive on a national and international scale.
Yeah, and not meant to sound with any degree of arrogance, but I think our technical products, I think our jerseys will go toe-to-toe with any jersey in the market. Our shorts, I think, are better than anything in the market. Our cargo base layer is unique in the market. So I think we've really got some unique value proposition in terms of that technical product that we're designing.
Where do someone's listening and they're going, fucking hell, it sounds like you've got the shit. Like, where do you find your product? Like, where does someone find more about? Okay, actually, I need a new pair of shorts. Mine are done. Where do I go?
Yeah, easiest place to just go straight to the website at rubbersidedown.com.au. That's by far the easiest way to get our product and the fastest way you'll get it. We do have stock in stores around the country as well, but that the time and effort to work with stores to get product in stores versus the effort we spend in terms of advertising direct to consumer and direct to consumer shipping, it is the return on that investment favours direct to consumer than working through stores.
So you've decided not to go through retailers.
So we do still have
such.
We still have stock in retailers, and we're always happy to work with retailers. But when there was a particular point where Monica was literally calling stores around the country multiple times, cold calling. That's hard work, and you don't get return on investment through doing that.
To sell two size 32s and a 28.
And that's right, and you might get a very
after.
small subset. And then, there's stores like Bicycle Fix have been great here locally in South Australia. They were one of the first stores that actually said, yeah, we'll stock Rubber Side Down, which has been great. But we just get so much more return on investment through media advertising, through Meta, Google, and in fact we probably ship more product to the United States than we do in Australia, which is where the big global market really sort of sits for us.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about that. So you've reached out from Adelaide. A lot of people go, Adelaide, we've done this. You've gone Adelaide, Australia and beyond now. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so obviously we've got a great mountain bike community here in Australia. But in California, they sell more mountain bikes in California per year than we do in the entire country here in Australia. So when you look at that in terms of riding community and the opportunity to grow your brand and build that community, that's clearly for us where that opportunity sits. So we did some experimentation with our advertising. We did some targeting into the US. And what we found was the cargo base layer was the differentiator for us. Trying to advertise another mountain bike apparel brand with a jersey and shorts into a new geography, it's really hard to stand out from the pack, particularly when you got the Globals, the Foxes, the Troy Lees or Liats, all these larger brands. But what they don't have is the cargo base layer.
Tell us more. What is a cargo base layer? I'm listening. Oh, dude, what is a cargo? It's like it's got camouflage patterns on it. Is that what it is?
No. So the cargo base layer was Monica's idea. And early on, because she came from more of a cyclocross scene where you're wearing full Lycra, in the mountain bike community, we're probably a little bit more relaxed. So unless you're racing XC, you're wearing baggy shorts and you're wearing a jersey. So where do you carry your gear? Because in a road jersey, you got your 3 pockets in the back. So how can we design something that gave the ability to carry your gear without carrying a hot backpack, which I never like wearing a pack on my back. It's just too hot. And that's where the idea for the cargo base layer was born. So it's a super lightweight Italian fabric. Imagine like an athletic fit base layer that you wear underneath your jersey or your tee. And it's got these 3 pockets in the back that have been specially reinforced to be able to carry typically what a mountain biker would ride with. So your phone, maybe a tool pack, a spare tube, etc. And it's moisture wicking. So in winter, it gives you an extra layer for a little bit of warmth. But in summer, I still wear mine on a 40-degree ride. It helps with the cooling process. So it's this really unique garment or technical product that sits underneath your T-shirt or your jersey, and it really is a point of difference in the market because I think there might be one other brand that might be doing it.
And what's a cargo base layer cost me? I want to go buy one. This sounds pretty good.
$89.95. So
and you go onto your website, you go to Rubber Side Down.
Yeah,
and you just choose.
You just go to the website.
Black, white, what other colours have we got?
So, and again,
rainbow colours.
Lessons learnt in life, I think. We started with a white cargo base layer. Was the first thing we did. And if we had our time again, hands down, we would have done a black cargo base.
Just go straight to black. Yeah.
But it is, and that's it, right? There's lots of learnings.
But it's a base layer. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a muscle top.
No, it's not.
Can you wear them at the beach if you're fit?
Oh, you could if you wanted to. I mean, I've gone out for rides on hot days where I've just worn the cargo base layer by itself, right, where it's just like stinking hot. But it's it's a really
Fits your kit in the back. It's a shirt, and you don't wear a backpack.
correct.
Put your shit back there.
And for most riders, I mean, unless you're going out for like a half day ride or something, you don't need to carry all that gear, right? So having this 3 pockets that are quite deep and secure. So if you're still hitting drops and jumps and stuff, it all stays where it is.
Us e-bikers, we only ride for 2 or 3 hours. That's all we've got.
Yeah,
So
well,
that sounds like plenty.
Yeah, and it is. It's plenty, and it's really been a really cool point of difference for us. You know, really, it is a competitive market space, right? There's brands popping up all over the place. So to have something that's unique, a point of difference, and gets you visibility in like the US when we started advertising over there, we found that just advertising jerseys and shorts, it was the cost per acquisition was quite high. All of a sudden, start focusing on a flagship product, which is the cargo base layer, and now they're going out every day, which is really cool. A cool position to be in.
Well, it sounds like I should get myself one and get riding
We
because
can
I'm over my
definitely help you
backpack.
out
I'm
there,
over
Zoe.
my backpack now. I
Yeah.
just don't like the hot, sweaty backpack anymore.
No, it's a thing. And we might have some cool advertising coming out in the near future around hot, sweaty backpacks. But,
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, if it's okay with you, I might take a quick wee break and we'll do a quick pause.
Yeah, cool.
And then we'll come back and we'll see.
Sounds good.
We'll come back and we'll talk some more. Quick wee break. We're just talking off camera about the excitement when you see someone else wearing your thing. Like you had this idea, you had this little inkling, and then you made a T, and it took forever, and then you sold a T-shirt, and then someone in public that you didn't even know was wearing your thing. How does that feel?
And like we were just talking off camera, it doesn't get old, right? In fact, it was only a couple of months ago, I was walking into the corporate office and I was crossing the road and there was a tradie walking the other way with all of his tools in his hand. He was wearing a rubber side down hoodie. And that's really cool. I think as Mom was saying, the first time we saw someone wearing one of our T-shirts was Dave Canning here in Adelaide. And it's just a really cool, like all this concept and thinking and planning that you've done becomes reality. So now, like, I mean, I love when I'm out on the trails and I see someone come down in one of our jerseys. It's pretty grounding and surreal experience, and the excitement for that hasn't dropped. You don't get used to it. Well, we certainly haven't anyway. And we sort of value the fact that we've got that riding community backing us and prepared to buy our gear.
What do your kids think about you doing so? Tell us a little bit about your family. Again, we know a little bit. Tell us your age of your kids, and do they even care that you're doing this?
That's a loaded question. We're a combined household. So I've got 2 teenagers,
How old?
Charlie and Austin. So Charlie's 17 and Austin's 15. Equally, Monica's got her own 2, Tiana, who's 17, and Isaiah, who's just turned 16. So they've got these 4 teenagers.
Good age of hormones in there.
100%. And it's been a really underestimated and challenging period of our collective lives, I think, working with everything that we've been doing with the brand and on that front. What do they think about Rubber Side Down? They don't care at all. I think they're more about, well, when's it going to bankroll, and we're all going to be driving around. Exactly right. So early on with my 2, I tried to get them into some mountain biking, and we did a little bit of riding up in the Mount Lofty Ranges here, but they never took to it, and I don't think either girl in the household are particularly sporty at all. Austin, my lad, he's as you know, he's playing competitive soccer still, under 16s in the new JPL, YPL, I think it's called now, and he loves it, and that's his thing. And Isaiah on the other side, he's all about the gym, and he was doing boxing for a period there, so The boys are very active, very fit, and I think quite motivated in that space. The girls less so. None of them are interested in mountain biking whatsoever.
Parenting 15 to 17-year-olds. Have you got any words of wisdom? You got any? We don't even have to go today, but sure, in the last week there's been 5 meltdowns. Have you got any that you can share, and how do you resolve those issues for the dads out there?
Look, for anyone listening, if you got tips on how to parent 4 teenagers, put your comments below, because I'd really love to hear them, because it is a challenge. When you have to ask someone to empty a dishwasher 6 times before they lose their shit with you and finally go and do it right, it's challenging.
Oh, you've got them to do it right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing very well.
It is. It's not an easy, and like if you and again, I think back, I do reflect a little bit. 5 to 12, I think that's a really good sweet spot with your kids. It's
love it.
When you're in that mode and you think life's hard, it's actually a really special time with your kids. And maybe if I had my time again, I'd probably, I was traveling around Asia a lot with work, so I was very corporate focused, probably could have spent a bit more time in hindsight. But then when you get into this teenage window, I had no idea how difficult it was going to be. And we've got 2 girls, both with mental health conditions. And it's been really, really challenging. Like I said, last year we didn't get out to any interstate events with Rubberside Down. We were weathering some full-on stuff, and I think that's calming, that's settling now. We're still managing through that stuff as well. And then boys will, I don't want to say boys will be boys, but boys being teenage boys, they do dumb shit. And we're working, that sort of, I'd almost consider that dumb shit to be the normal world of teenage parenting, right? Which is a little bit different to what we've been working on or working with the girls on. So
none of it's easy.
No.
So I know I speak to guys, and my kids are a little bit older. I'm coming through that, but man, there's a few tough years in the middle. Definitely.
It has been, and Mom made a comment last week, the week before, like if we can navigate last year and the year before, we can weather any storm. Because there's been some tough, challenging times, but we've come out the other side. We've got an awesome relationship. I think in the 5 years that we've been together, I think we might have had one sort of argument thing, whatever that would be. So I think having the right partner beside you makes a massive difference as well, right? You need to be able to support each other through those challenging times.
With Rubberside Down, and adversity, like let's talk about something that really worked and something that really didn't work. Can you put your mind into something, first of all, that when the shit hit the fan?
Oh, I'm trying to think.
Something didn't work, something really, you invested emotionally, financially, and...
I think just a simple product line example I can think of. We released, it was a Gen 2 jersey. We're up to Gen 3 now. And a particular jersey, it was a blue camo jersey, and there was a female version of that. That was the first time we were using a new particular manufacturer, and we were probably caught lack of understanding in terms of how we could negotiate with manufacturers in terms of minimum order quantities. So we ended up having to put some massive order in for these jerseys, and basically we hadn't tested in the market in terms of whether it was going to be a well-received jersey or not. It was okay received, wasn't greatly received. And fundamentally, we just had so much stock on hand that we had to then discount and run through sales just to be able to sort of clear that stock out. Again, these journeys as being a business owner and going through all these learnings, they help you it's part of it, and they help you for the next time around. And certainly with what we're doing at the moment with the new tech tees coming out and our new hoodies are coming out, we've had a very different conversation. We've controlled the narrative from our perspective to make sure that we're protected through that process. But the only way we could do that, Zolly, was through having one of these other situations that didn't play out for us the way we'd like it to. So that's probably a good example of just being new in an industry that we're not experienced in, and sort of being at the whim of a manufacturer probably took a bit of advantage of us, but equally that's our problem because we weren't clued up.
You won't do that again.
We won't do it
That
again,
mistake
100%.
again. And what about a win? What was a good win that you didn't expect, you didn't see that coming? Is there one that you go, oh, shit? Could be something small. Could be a social media post. It could be a garment, whatever.
We put a social media post out the other week, which got 3 million views on YouTube, which no one expected, right?
Oh,
Again, a bit of experimentation. We did an MTB hack about how to get your power link undone on your chain. Loaded it up on the channels. It went nuts on all of them, and in particular on YouTube, had about 3.8 million views or something.
So tell us a bit. So you're promoting, I mean, I've seen a bit of your stuff, but you're promoting Rubber Side Down on what, Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and you're putting little clips and you're talking to about stuff.
Yeah, so we're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And we're also running a business lens through LinkedIn, so all the major channels. There's a different focus for each of them.
But you did something and it got millions of views.
Yeah, and we do a lot of experimentation, right? So you'll see now that we do quite a lot of interviews with people. They resonate really well. And I think there's a sort of the younger riders in particular, hey, that's my mate Sam. Sam's one of our brand ambassadors. And they love seeing him on there, right? So that's great because we can help Sam in giving him visibility. And that works for us as well in terms of brand promotion, broader visibility, because the post is getting so many views and engagements, which is amazing. But the one I was talking about was just it was almost an accident. I sort of been talking to Monica and Jude about maybe we just need to do a few other things. How can we give value to the riding community beyond what we're already doing? So we thought about doing some MTB hacks. So this one video, and I'm kicking myself in hindsight because I didn't really have any branding in the actual video itself.
There weren't a t-shirt or a cap.
There was nothing in it, but basically it was using a shoelace to get your power link undone on your chain. And that just popped. It got, it must be 4 million views now on YouTube, but a few weeks back it was at 3.8 million. And so, but that experimentation also is a bit of a steer for us in terms, okay, that worked really well. How can we replicate that and continue to build that out? Because on the back of that, not sure how many new followers we got, but
you just don't know.
It's crazy. And I think on the main Instagram channel that we've got now, we would always make a point, like if you followed us, we would do a response back saying, hey, thanks for following Rubberside Down, a bit of a blurb and keep it Rubberside Down. I can't do that anymore now because the follower count on a daily basis is so high. And when we've gone from about 9,000 followers to almost 12,000 followers in the last couple of months, the number of new follows is insane to stay on top of. And I can't find, if anyone knows an automation to respond to new followers, let me know. But I can't find it.
There'll be a robot out there.
Yeah, I can't find an agent or an AI solution for that at the moment.
It'll take you 12 months.
Yeah,
that'll probably be solved.
But it's, I think, and that was part of what we've, again, it's sort of engaging with the community. So when someone followed us, we'd say thank you for following us.
It's quite organic, and
yes. And they might respond back, go, hey, yeah, great, can you sponsor me? But it's good to have that level of engagement, right? And we've always said we don't want to lose that level of intimacy no matter how big this brand grows. And we might not be able to respond to everybody's follow now, but there's other ways that we can engage with the community, and some of that is through the new social media content that we're releasing at the moment.
You mentioned the word sponsor. I'm sure there's plenty of young kids that go, oh, sponsor, I just want to be sponsored. From your perspective, what is a sponsor? What would a sponsor want from some? If some young kid goes, oh, if I did this and this and this and this, maybe I'll get sponsored. From your perspective, what would that kid need to do to get your attention?
Can I start with, I'll tell you what it's not.
Yes.
What it is not is sending us a DM in our channel saying, sponsor me, or I'm amazing, sponsor me, or sending us a video of you doing a whip. That's and for all, if there's kids watching this, we get hundreds of them a day. So standing out from that crowd makes life really difficult if that's your approach to a
So
brand.
just stop sending Paul annoying photos of you doing crazy tricks, kids.
I'm
all
not
right?
saying stop sending, but if you're thinking that will be enough for us to say, hey, you're awesome and we want to have a conversation with you about sponsorship, that's not going to cut it. We've moved to an annual intake of brand ambassadors and sponsors. And so we've got a structured process now that we relaunch late August, September timeframe. And we run that through the website. There's a pro forma or a list of questions that people need to complete, and then we review them. We do an assessment, and that's becoming harder now. I think
Imagine that'd be a huge filtered list to filter through.
it's huge. I think it was.
I got a video resume. Here's my 3-minute part.
Yeah, and it was. I think in the last intake, we had close to 900 applications come in. Right, so trying to work out who to select and which ones will. And I think part of this, when you say what is a sponsorship, it's a two-way thing, right? We love it because it's an opportunity to be able to support someone in their riding journey in the community. So for us, a sponsorship is where we'll deck them out. So you've got our jerseys, we'll deck you out with some swag, your technical gear, and so you're set that you can go to races and you can do what you need to do, and you've got some pretty cool gear to do it in.
You've offered that closing at a cost or at no cost?
So for the sponsored riders, we do that at zero cost to the rider, and we work closely with them and to make sure that they're looked after. And we don't really set hard guidelines in terms of what we expect in return. But a good sponsored rider that we support, I think somebody, Maddie is one of our riders interstate. She's amazing. She'll put posts up. She'll regularly talk about Rubberside Down in her social media content. And that's really good for us, right? And it helps that she's also standing on a podium, so there's photos for that and videos for that as well. The brand ambassador side of things is a little bit different. That is where part of the community, in this last round that we launched, we sent everybody out a swag bag, basically, which had a tee, some stickers, and some stuff in. And that really is about a two-way working relationship, because some of those riders will have eyes on in terms of, I think they're doing some pretty cool stuff. We might actually want to move, because some of them are on the race scene as well. We might actually look after them as a sponsored rider in the next 12 months, depending on how they work with us and what they're doing in sort of supporting the brand. So it's definitely a two-way working relationship.
Who are a couple of those people that are close to your heart? I'm sure. It sounds like you've got a lot of people. Who would be a few, and it's hard to put a name on a couple because you leave names out.
Yeah.
If there's a couple that come to mind and go, I saw this little kid send me a resume video ages ago, and now look at them.
That's a hard one. I think that there is, if I say names, because of the way the community works in particular here in Adelaide, it will probably create. All right. Yeah, so I'd rather not name names.
No, good, safe call.
But there's absolutely some great riders in our community. There's some really cool stuff. They've got support from really cool parents as well. So we'll be at race events and their parents will come up and talk to us. And I think that's important for us as well.
Explain that. Like, maybe we get a little bit lost on the kids and the riders. Your age demographic is probably in the younger group, and their parents are the biggest supporters. Tell us a little bit about parents, maybe. Rather than the riders, who are some heartwarming parents that you've seen?
Yeah, look, I think if I think of parents, even to the race event at the weekend, one of our brand ambassadors, Duke, his parents come over and spend a bit of time talking to us. Lovely parents, really engaged in supporting what Duke's doing, and he turned out he had a great day out on the racetrack. You've got people like Sam Woodkey and his parents. They're all very supportive of what they're doing, and I think they've said to us that the boys in particular, they're really enjoying being part of something, which is exactly what we're trying to create. It's not about us sort of having people out there with our gear on so we can crank sales. It's about working with a good vibe, a good community, and actually helping those riders on what their riding ambitions are. And I think the growth of the business in the back end, that's just a byproduct of us actually being active in the community and doing the right thing by the kids and by their parents.
What's your near future? Like, what's on the horizon for Rubber Side Down?
Yeah, so I think at the moment we're going to keep doing what we're doing because it's working. We're really confident on the path that we're on at the moment. We're going to continue to focus on the US market. We're going to continue to bring new products. As I mentioned, we've got a couple of new things coming in the coming weeks. We are conscious of the fact that we need to get some riding pants out. We've had a design done for them, concept done for them, so there's a process. So we know we're not going to get any change out of a Hungy for that. So that's how do we stage manage that and everything else that we're doing. And we'll definitely be doing a lot more interstate events as we go sort of towards the back end of this year and into next year. We just need to pick which ones make most sense and how do we get the right brand exposure through those events like what we do at Crankworks.
And, okay, explain from a sponsor's perspective, it's Crankworks, it's the Mountain Bike Nationals, it's the state's biggest event. How do you see benefit in partnering, and how do you choose which ones to be involved with?
I think the importance of partnering, and I was talking to Jamie at Inside Line. In fact, there'll be a reel come out in the coming weeks where we interviewed Jamie at Inside Line. And we equally, I was just thinking back, we did a race in Victoria as well, and I think it was SRAM was supposed to turn up to the event and they never did. But we'd driven all the way across from Adelaide. We'd left at 5 o'clock on a Friday night. We'd driven overnight to this race event. And they were absolutely stoked that we were there with the marquee and the setup. And I mean, I think you
bring professionalism to the event.
Yeah, we do have I think we've got a pretty good professional vibe in terms of what we set up and how it looks. So that creation of atmosphere at the race event is part of what being a sponsor is about, right? Yes, we donate prizes, prize money, etc. for riders and all the rest of it. But being able to create an atmosphere that riders actually want to be at and be a part of, I think is really quite important, and it's a big part of what we do.
And so the next big thing, is there something that you were talking about? You've got a couple of things coming up
in terms of events or
products. You were saying you've got some stuff. Are you able to say what that is yet?
Well, I mean, it sounds easy when I say we've got a tech tee coming, right? But that has been months and months in development just to develop a technical tee. And that's a product that looks like a normal tee. So if you were sitting here now, it would look like what I've got on. But it's actually got a technical fabric that when you look underneath the tee, it's moisture wicking and takes the moisture away from you. So we're sort of...
Explain that to... I understand moisture wicking. Can you explain that
so
a minute?
A conventional tee, you'll be sitting there riding, and if it doesn't have moisture wicking properties, it just sits there wet on you and you can get cold as a result or be just dripping in sweat. A moisture wicking tee, the way the fabric is designed, it actually takes the moisture away from your body and either holds it outside of the tee, sort of in the fabric layer, and then dries through the airflow so that it doesn't sit on you soaking wet. So we've got this new tech tee coming out, which is we're really quite excited about because it looks like a normal tee, performs like a technical product. So you could wear it if you just want to go down the jump parks with your mates, but equally you could go and do a couple of hours on the mountain bike, couple that with our cargo base layer, and I reckon you're set.
That moisture wicking, so open weave on the, it sucks the sweat away from you.
Yeah, and keeps you cool when you're riding on a hot day. And it's if we're talking about the cargo base layer, it will give you a layer of warmth on a colder day. But the tech tee will get that moisture away from your body, so you're not saturated in your sweat.
Smart. technical apparel.
Yeah, it's cool. We're looking
You got
forward
the
to
shorts,
releasing that.
you got the tops.
Yeah, and this is, so if you look at this tee now, this is what the tech tee will look like.
What you're
yeah,
modelling now there.
Yeah.
There you go. The camera's coming back to you.
So there you go. So you can see that it just looks like an ordinary tee, but it's got a moisture wicking property that takes it away. So it's taken. I think again, Mon's the ideas person in the business. This has been.
Oh,
something
it looks like a good
that,
tee to me. Like that's
but it's taken a long
it.
time to find the fabric to do what we need, and then test that fabric to make sure it performed, and then go through even shrink tests to make sure that when you wash it the first time, it doesn't shrink down to this tiny tee.
We do some product testing and so on. I'm sure you guys will as well. So maybe you might send me one and I'll go for a ride.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to send you one.
Give a review. I'll send you a review.
Go for it.
See what it is. See what people think.
Happy to.
Look, this has been awesome. I think we're coming close to the end-ish here. But as we get close to the end, I like to try and think about the people that aren't having the best of days and put your head into a spot when you fell into a bit of a hole. Have you got an example where life got you down? Family, relationships, business, it doesn't matter what topic you pick. Something got you down, and then a few days later, maybe you got out of it through a pattern of thinking. Can you send us to a place like that?
Oh, look, I think we've spoken briefly about it already. Like the challenges that we've had in the last year on the family front, they took us to some pretty dark places, if I'm honest, and sort of upside down. Whilst we deliberately slowed it down last year, it probably slowed down at certain periods more than we anticipated it would. And KPMG were awesome for me personally as well. I think there was a period where we actually had to take some time out of work to deal with some of those challenges. But I think no matter what those challenges were, the strength of Mons and my relationship to be able to support each other and work through it. We sort of have this comment, how many spoons do you have today out of 5? Well, I'm running on 1 at the moment. I'm not feeling great. Okay. So we sort of really communicate. And I think that relationship, both from our personal relationship and sort of working with the kids, but equally how that then translates into the business as well. We sort of joke that, like, I've got a very sort of strategic. In fact, I think I said, Mon, you're never going to be the CEO of Upside Down. You'll be the chief operating officer, because she chases down problems and works things out that I don't have the aptitude or ability to do. And so our strengths around those sort of types of roles, we work with those strengths and also our weaknesses, so that we sort of have the complete package. And I think that's how we've worked through Upside Down, and when we've worked through some of those darker times that you're talking about.
And what happens tomorrow? What happens tomorrow for you guys, for life?
For life?
Yeah. What are you looking forward to? What are you really looking forward to?
Look, I think the vision that we've had to get this brand to the point where it's sustaining us both on a day-to-day basis is absolutely the goal here. We enjoy it. It can be a frustration sometimes when there's something that we're working on or we invest more time and energy into it, but we can't because I need to pivot into my corporate world. It's almost like sort of this alter ego that I pivot in between the two.
It's close.
Yeah, it's
a year within the next 12 months ish, maybe. Not that. No,
yeah.
2 or 3 year plan. You're still.
Yeah, well, let's put time.
Let's
on
not
it.
do
Yeah.
that. You don't want to tell the boss that you're quitting tomorrow.
Well, I'm definitely not quitting tomorrow.
No,
but
no. If they're listening.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so we're working through that at the moment. That's ultimately the goal. And if we can get as much ride time in the meantime, then that's a positive, right?
Well, so, I've been watching you doing this for 4 or 5 years now. I wish you all the success, and I can see you're 100% committed, and I wish nothing but the best for you. Good luck to you with the rest of Rubber Side Down. People, click link. I'll send some stuff, and maybe you can find some more about what Paul does here, and I'll put a bit of send out music here. We're going to call it a wrap.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything
Thank
Volatile
you.
Visions
Yes.
as well, man.
Yeah, who knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, cool.
Brilliant.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. There we go.